Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So we're doing GWV Sunday Round-Up for today's second video. I was on a Sunday, but your eclectic mix of this and that. We're looking at things like solar activity, sea surface temperature anomalies, Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation, QBO, and of course the weather for next week, 10 days and beyond. It's snowing here at GWV Weather Towers right now. Got about a couple of inches of snow on the ground, and it's still coming down actually. So quite a snow event currently taking place through large parts of things. We will talk about that in this video as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I shall talk for our Sunday Roundup very short. Just to say that the first video released today was the third spring update. It's a bit of a solar special. That's where I'm going to begin with the Sunday Roundup as well, actually. And we're naming the bunnies. So if you've got a good suggestion for the bunny name on the spring updates GIF, then post it in the comments, and we're going to put all of the suggested names into a poll or a name picker or something, and we're going to name the bunny, I think. So just a bit of fun, for the spring update. So yeah, do that. Have a look at the spring update if you'd like to do that. And we're going to be live streaming at 6 o'clock tonight. Live stream while it's snowing. How about that? So we'll see you live at 6 o'clock. Right, let's get on with the Sunday Roundup then. So we're going to begin with solar activity. So this is how the solar disk is currently looking on our side of this day from solarham.net. We have got some sunspot areas. Actually, solar activity is at low levels, and expected to remain at low levels for the next 3 days. But we do have some visible sunspots on the solar disk. This is the GWV solar activity tracker sent through by our good friend James Accurate. Thank you, James, for sending this through. So the orange line depicting is updated up to today, by the way, 24th January. The orange line depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So they are having a little bit of a tick up in activity at the moment, actually. So a few days ago, we did the last Sunday round, I think, we were sort of flatlining away on the floor of the chart. Again, with sunspots, no visible sunspots for a few days. But now the orange line has picked up a little bit. So we are having a little bit of an increase in activity, although nowhere near the extent that we had back in November, when we really did see quite a significant increase in activity. And that was enough to lift the trend lines, the thick green and thick red lines, up quite significantly, actually, through the latter part of last autumn. Then the trend lines sort of drop away into the winter. We have seen a very slight tick up in the trend, particularly the red line actually has ticked up slightly, but this is still a low level of solar activity. We are now into like the second year of solar cycle 25, so you'd expect activity to pick up quickly from here. It's actually quite a delayed start to this season. To this solar cycle, I should say. So we should wait and see, but solar activity is still at quite a low level at the moment. Oh, look, it's Obi Gav Kenobi. Hello there. Sent through by Richard. This is showing spotless days and the current spotless stretch. So far this year, we've had 12 days in 2021 without any sunspots. That is 52% of the year so far. Bear in mind, we are still only 1 month into 2021. But we have had 12 days without sunspots, compared to 2020, which had 208 days, 57% of the year without sunspots. Of course, solar minimum year was 2019, which had 281 days, 77% of the year without sunspots. Hello there. Let's move on then. This is how the oceans look. Thank you so much to James and Rich for sending through the solar data. This is how the oceans are looking, or were looking. We did last week's Sunday Roundup. So we've got our 3 areas of interest. Of course, we've got the ENSO region just here with signature for La Nina. We've got the North Pacific over there, and we've got North Atlantic over there. That's how the oceans were looking when we did last week's GAV's Weather Vid Sunday Roundup. This is the very latest. So dealing with the ENSO region, first of all, we continue to see like a central western base La Nina signature. So the cold average sea surface temperature anomalies are sort of becoming centered like through the central and western equatorial Pacific Ocean. Over in the eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean, things have warmed up and continue to warm up slightly over there. In the non-Pacific, things are cooling down. So yes, we have got cooler than average sea surface temperature on this now in this northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean. Overall, that's the coolest I think the non-Pacific has been for quite some time, probably going back to winter 2017-18. And then in the Atlantic, just generally warmer than average in most areas. So the tropics still warmer than average. They've been warmer than average for a long time now. Significant warmer than average sea surface temperature is through there. If that was to continue into the summer, that would imply another pretty big hurricane season. Of course, we're a long way away from the summer, so there could be changes. But at the moment, still looking pretty warm for the tropical Atlantic. Generally quite warm in the northern Atlantic as well. It is a little bit cooler over towards Spain and Ireland, but generally it's still, the Atlantic is the warmest it's been for a few years, actually, and we sort of discovered this when we did the winter updates, of course, but we've probably got our warmest Atlantic Ocean we've had since around 2012, 2013, something like that, and yeah, so that carries on, that continues for the time being as well. Solar Oscillation Index is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, measuring air pressures between Darwin and Tahiti. When the SOI, Solar Oscillation Index, is in its negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. And when the SOI is in its positive phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. We have got a positive SOI at the moment, have had all the way through this winter. That tells us the atmospheric setup is also reflective of La Nina. So yeah, positive numbers. So here we are, for example, on the 15th of January at plus 22.38, 16th of January at plus 20.26, 17th of January at plus 20.69, 18th of January at plus 22.66, 19th of January at plus 22.99. Very positive numbers. All the way up to 24th of January, because they're ahead of us in Australia. This is measured by Queensland Government, by the way. So they're ahead of us there. And again, we see plus 5.66. So not as positive with the SY over the past couple of days, but we're still in a very positive phase with the SY, as we expect us to be, given that we are having a La Nina winter. So in terms of the 30-day average, that's flatlining now, quite a positive level at around plus 16. The 90-day average is, dash line is also lifting up. So La Nina continues for the time being. Now the CFSV2, which did forecast the onset of this La Nina absolutely superbly, it was predicting this time last year that, like, the autumn of 2020 would see a descent into La Nina, and that La Nina will continue through the winter of 2020-2021. It was forecast that like this time last year at the beginning of January. So absolutely fantastic forecast by CFS. We do criticise the CFS a lot. We throw a lot of shade at the CFS, but in terms of that La Nina forecast, it's absolutely amazing. And now the CFS is forecasting La Nina to continue pretty much through this year and probably strengthen through the summer again, actually. So the current position is just there. We're at a weak level with La Nina at the moment in terms of central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. That is forecast to continue with the black dash line here through to around April, May. But then you notice the black dash line sort of dropping. So that tells us that actually CFS is forecasting La Nina to strengthen and get stronger as we go through the summer and into the autumn. That would make this a 2-year. It'll be a 2-year La Nina, which is, it does happen. You can get La Ninas that stretch on over 2 years. The last one, I think, was 2010, 2011, then 2011, 2012. So this does happen, but you can get it like a 2-year La Nina. But there you go. That's what it's going for. Anyway, a strengthening, a re-strengthening, redevelopment, I suppose, of the La Nina into the summer. Bear in mind, with very early days on that, so we'll just have to wait and see. QBO next, the quasi-biennial oscillation is showing the easterly QBO at the top of the atmospheric stratosphere. So this is from NASA of course. So with this, you have to think that this is like the top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere, just there. And then, of course, we descend down through the levels of the atmosphere from the stratosphere to the troposphere. 30 HPA to 50 HPA is the level that we call the troposphere. That's where weather is taking place. So, of course, we've got Wesley Cubio at the moment lingering in the troposphere. We should have gone into an easterly Cubio, this blue-green area, descending last year, but it didn't. It failed. We do still have the easterly Cubio up at the stratospheric level, though, and strengthening at the stratospheric level as well. So we see that the green-blue curves are beginning to inch down from the stratosphere towards, not yet into, but towards the troposphere. And I've got a feeling we're probably going to go into an easterly Cubio during this year. So I think we're going to go into an easterly Cubio, probably starting in the spring, and that will take us through the rest of the year. So all eyes will be on the Cubio in the coming weeks and months. This is the Arctic Oscillation Observed and Forecast charts. So the black line shows where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. Red lines at the end where GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. This is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, as with so many of these other indexes, like the Cubio, like the Southern Oscillation Index, for example. It's just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, this time measuring air pressures in the Arctic. So when the AO is positive, we've got low pressure over the Arctic. When the AO is negative, we've got high pressure blocking over the Arctic. Through this winter, we've had a negative AO. So the Arctic Oscillation has been in its negative phase through this winter. It continues to be in its negative phase. The AO is still negative. GFS ensembles are forecasting over the next few days the AO may become more negative. As moving to the beginning of February, there's quite a lot of scatter, but generally looks like most GFS ensemble members are keeping the AO negative again. So it could be that we can have all 3 winter months with a negative AO. It's been a long time since that happened. So yeah, you know, we've had a lot of blocking this winter. That goes on if the GFS ensembles are right well into February. NAO looks like this. So the NAO has been in a neutral to weakly negative phase through this winter. Same idea, measuring air pressure this time in the North Atlantic, measuring air pressures between Iceland and the Azores. So at the moment the NAO is sort of weakly negative, just there. GFS ensembles are forecast over next week. The NAO will stay weakly negative, but it is into the beginning of February going for a little bit more positivity of the NAO. So the NAO is on the move. The NAO looks like it's starting to move into slightly more positive phase, at least for a while, through the early part of February, which could imply something a little bit milder and more Atlantic driven. But they have to factor in that the AO is going to stay negative. The AO is going to stay with blocking. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens into early February, and it'll depend, I think, how strong the blocking is as to whether it can fend off the return of the positive phase of the NAO. By the end of the GFS ensembles, it looks like they're beginning to lower the NAO anyway, backing towards a more neutral type level, to be honest. It's only going slightly positive anyway. Right, so event taking place currently from North Wales down to Southern England. This is a radar picture from the Weather Outlook. See this band of snow. I've been talking about this in the videos and snow watches a lot over the past few days. Of course, did snow watch last night. I think it's come out pretty well. The band of snow is from North Wales down through the Midlands into central southern parts of England. The further south we come, the more this turns into a wintry mix of rain, sleet and snow. It's been primarily rain along the south coast, I think, with a little bit of early snowfall. And in the southwest, I understand there's not been any snow in the far southwest. But yeah, you know, it's been quite a significant snow event. And this snow is sitting through the Midlands. And in fact, on the dew point, we can see where it's snowing. So down in the south, we've got south of London. This is primarily turned to rain as the dew point's gone above freezing. But come northwards, particularly into the Midlands and up into Wales, and there we do find that the dew point is still below freezing, so precipitation there is still falling as snow. Now, this band of snow is probably going to get a little bit stuck. So if we have a look at the icon, which I think is forecasted quite well, this is how the icon is looking for this band of snow from the weather outlook. So you see this in midday, the snow from like North Wales through the Midlands into the southeast turning to rain down towards the south coast. It barely moves though from midday to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So again, quite a significant snow event through Wales, into the Midlands, into some parts of eastern England. Through the course of today, several hours of really quite heavy snow. We've got those purple colours turning up. That is the forecast, quite heavy snow. It's still going on 6 o'clock in the evening through Wales and Midlands to East Anglia. It finally starts to move southwards overnight and fizzles out, and then it goes drier after that. Tomorrow will be sort of a clearing up type day, I suppose, and then into Tuesday we bring wet weather in off the Atlantic, and that could turn to snow in the north, but it'll be rain down in the south, and then it'll turn a little bit milder through the rest of next week. But yeah, quite a significant snow event going on. So if you've got snow and you've been waiting for it and you want it, then enjoy it. Plenty of weather warnings enforced by the UK Met today. So we've got yellow warnings for snow and ice across Scotland, Northern Ireland, through much of England and Wales as well. So plenty of snow warnings and ice warnings enforced. This is all going to freeze overnight tonight, by the way. So where we've got the snow on the ground, it will freeze over tonight. So it'll be very, very dicey tomorrow morning. Right, let's do some forecast then. So this is the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensemble graph for Leeds. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Leeds. So we're starting off cold average at the moment. Of course, the next couple of days up to Tuesday, Wednesday, going to be cold. But it's going to go milder through the middle of the second half of next week, but there will be some heavy rain. Over weekend into next week, we go colder again by looking at it. There are some very cold ensemble members that are appearing. These ones going down to between minus 10 and minus 15 at 850 HPA. I'll probably bring down either bitterly cold northerlies or possibly beasts from the east. They're outliers, but there are a few of them there, but we can say that more generally it is going to turn colder through the first week of February. The detail of that is to be determined. Precipitation wise, once this snow is out of the way, it will actually be relatively dry tomorrow, but just turning more unsettled next week, really. Bouts of rain coming in as the temperature lifts up. We will bring several areas of wet weather in off the Atlantic Ocean. Quite windy at times, too. Could be gale force winds. So as we go into the first week of February, this period just here, as it starts to turn colder, there's still plenty of precipitation spikes in there, and so as it turns colder, it raises a prospect of perhaps some more snow coming back through the first week of February. Temperature anomalies from the 24th of January to the 1st of February going to be on the cold and average side, especially so for the northern half of the country. Precipitation anomalies from the 24th of January to the 1st of February. A little bit drier than average for northern Scotland, generally wet and average for most parts of Ireland, England and Wales, Northern Ireland too, telling us that the jet stream is still on a bit of a southerly track and most of the wet weather is focused further south, which could well leave the far north actually within cold air. It may never warm up across northern Scotland. Most places will turn milder in the coming days, so and the focus of the rain is going to be down in the south. Right, this is how the UK Met is looking for Wednesday. A band of wet weather pushing across country on Wednesday, introducing these milder winds from the southwest. Still pretty cold, though, up in the northeast. Thursday should be milder across most parts of the country, where the far north of Scotland could still just about be hanging on to cold air. And as we go into Friday and next weekend, the cold air begins to push southwards again into the northern half of the country. At the same time, we've got this deep area of low pressure to the south of Ireland. So this raises some prospect of maybe some snow next weekend, as this low pressure is trying to push up milder winds from the southwest, but also we've got cold air coming down from the north. There'll be a weather front that marks the boundary, and of course on that weather front there could be heavy rain, there could be snow, so maybe we do this all over again next weekend. That's as far as we get with the UK Met. This is for GFS 6Z, so we'll just have a very quick look at this. Actually, this is GFS Midnight Run. I'm going to show you the Midnight and the GFS 6Z. So the GFS Midnight Run looks like that. Mild southwesterly winds setting in across southern and western areas anyway on Wednesday. All areas turning milder for Thursday, except maybe northern Scotland. Friday, again looking wet and windy over most parts of the country. Milder, far north of Scotland. Whoops. Right, there we go. Another telephone interruption. Sorry about that, everybody. Zaccardo ringing up with our shopping delivery. I hope we'll be able to deliver with this. No, I don't know. I'll let you all know on the live stream whether they got through or not. We are a bit out of the way at Gadsworth this town, so I'm a bit worried about our shopping today. Never mind, let's carry on then. So we got to Friday, looking wet and windy. Wet and windy on Friday. Still just about hanging on to cold air in the north. By next weekend, it starts to go colder from the north. Then get this low pressure diving in to the south. Again, that might raise the prospect of some snow across more southern areas. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It's a long way off, but could go colder, more wintry again next weekend. More low pressure coming in off the Atlantic early into the following week. This is Monday the 1st of February. Again, looking pretty cold through most parts of the country. Probably battle setting up here. This could deliver more snow through the open days of February before the milder air breaks through again from off the Atlantic. And then start to turn increasingly blocked and colder as we move further on through the first week of February. We finish up by Tuesday night bed with a Scandinavian high and an easterly wind setting in. Been quite a few hints of a Scandi high within the extended GFS output over the past few days. That's carrying on at the moment. It's a long way off, but the hints are there for a bit of a Scandi developing later on into the first week of February. GFS 6 looks like that. So this is the very latest GFS run. Milder southwesterly winds pushing in on Wednesday. Most areas turning milder through the second half of the week, but also wet and windy. But far north of Scotland stays in those cold easterly winds. Cold air coming back then into next weekend with this ridge of high pressure building down from the north. It's a very deep cold pool sitting just to our north and northeast. So if we did develop a Scandinavian high and get wind into the east, there is a lot of cold air, very cold air, sitting just to our east. What actually happens with the GFS 6 then is that more energy is thrown at us from the Atlantic, but it is a bit of a battle. There might be some snow there in the opening days of February as it turns milder, wetter and windier. Day 10 has us in an Atlantic type flow, but with a Scandinavian high trying to get going. And as you go to the extended range, we eventually start to pull some cold air back in from the north again. This is how we finish up with the GFS 6 there with a ridge building through the UK, seemingly going up towards Scandinavia as well. That might be starting to set up a Scandinavian high, maybe an easterly wind. Maybe not a beastly easy, but you know, an easy wind could be setting up there for the second week of February. A lot of blocking over and to the north and northeast of the country. GM looks like this. So again, we've got milder winds setting in through most parts of the country through the middle of this week, but northern Scotland stays quite cold. By the weekend, we're pulling cold air back down across most parts of the country, and these low pressure coming up against that cold air might deliver rain and or snow next weekend. This is sunny 31st January week today. Got low pressure across England and Wales. Cold easy winds on the northern side of those lows might deliver some snow again next weekend. This does actually pull in quite a cold area of quite cold air from the east by Monday the 1st of February. It has got a Scandinavian high with blocking going through the Norwegian Sea as well. So this is cold and wintry. This is cold and wintry with the GM up to day 10. Maybe some quite significant snow there at the very end of January and into the opening days of February. That one is having a really good go at pulling the wind into the east. In fact, it does pull wind into the east for the north of the country. And then the ECM looks like that. So the GM is cold and wintry from next weekend into the opening days of February. And then the ECM looks like this. So again, getting a little bit milder through the middle part of this week with outbreaks of rain. Stays cold over far north of Scotland, and next weekend we find the colder air starting to dig back in from the north again. So a battle takes place next weekend with this low down to the southwest, bringing wet weather up from the Atlantic, but running into that cold air could turn to snow. So ECM suggests a snow event potentially next weekend. And then up to day 10, we've got Scandinavian high versus the Atlantic low. That's how we look as we get to day 10. Very much poised between the Scandi high and the easterly and the Icelandic low and the westerly, so that could go in any direction. Really, the low pressure in the Atlantic might override the Scandinavian high and break it down. Conversely, the low pressure in the Atlantic might slide away to the southeast, the Scandinavian high might strengthen, and the wind might go into the east in the days afterwards. Very difficult to say which way that would go. It's one of those that could go in any direction. ECM precipitation type forecast from tibetio.com based on the ECM run. This is a snow event we've got today through North Wales into Midlands, some parts of eastern England. That snow gets out of the way this evening. It turns dry but very frosty overnight. Tomorrow is a drier day, a clearing up day, really. And then on Tuesday, wet weather coming in off the Atlantic. Some of that could turn snow in the north, but it does introduce something slightly milder from the west. By the middle of the week, all areas are turning wet, heavy rain, snow still across Scotland, but generally going back towards rain by midweek. Into the weekend, it begins to get colder again. More heavy snow across the south next weekend. And then another one comes in on the 1st February. That's Monday the 1st. Another bout of snow in across England and Wales. Very wintry sort of outlook before we turn back towards rain as we move up towards day 10. So rain, snow, very interesting weather to keep us on our toes. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. Gets us to the 3rd of February. 13 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure over country combined with northern blocking could bring cold and wintry conditions at times. 11 with low pressure to our west-southwest will be milder with winds in from the west, but there is a Scandinavian high trying to get going to our northeast. That's a little bit of a battle type situation. That includes the operational run. 9 with low pressure again over country, bringing winds from a westerly direction. Another 9 low pressure to our west, again winds in from the west, and another 9 just here again, low pressure in over country, winds in from west. Most of the options look rather Atlantic driven in 10 days time. In 2 weeks time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 8th of February. We have 15 members of the ECM ensembles with a ridge building through the country up to Scandinavia. That's going to have a go at pulling in a cold east or northeasterly wind. 13 with low pressure through the country, high pressure blocking to the north, so that's probably going to be relatively mild. 11 with low pressure over country, high pressure over Greenland. Winds will be going back into the north, becoming colder with that. 7 just here with a Scandinavian high centred just to our northeast, bringing in the wind from the east. That's going to be cold, potentially very cold. And 5 with high pressure blocking within the north latitudes, low pressure over to south of the country. Winds will again be coming in from the east, so that's going to be cold. It looks like the options are favouring a return of cold and blocking really by 2 weeks out. CFSV2 finally, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. The first week period will take us from the 24th to the 30th of January. The coming week will have low pressure in the Atlantic and will bring in a westerly wind, high pressure down to our South Atlantic driven unsettled bouts of rain, and there could be some snow mixed in at times as well. Week 2 is going to be the 31st of January to 6th of February. Again, low pressure over to the west of the country. Winds are in from the west, blocking, strengthening though. Probably within the northern latitudes, might be transitioning something colder and more wintry. Week 3, look at this, it's the 7th to the 13th of February. High pressure blocking around Greenland and Iceland. Winds are coming in from a northeasterly direction. That could be cold or even very cold with winds in from the northeast. And then week 4 is going to be the 14th to the 20th of February. Again, high pressure around Greenland up into the Arctic. Low pressure covering much of northern western Europe. Will be pulling in a cold northeasterly wind with that. So definite suggestions of cold weather during February with CFS V2. And lastly, this is this CFS 700 millibar height anomaly for February. Still extensive northern blocking, going for high pressure around Greenland, back into the northern latitudes, low pressure over to south country, winds in from an east or northeasterly direction. You would expect February, therefore, to be cold. It doesn't actually show cold and average temperature anomaly, but it has gone across Scandinavia, but with a sector, you expect the UK and Ireland to be substantially colder than average. A precipitation anomaly looks drier than average, as you expect if we've got blocking and relatively cold weather. But what precipitation we do get, a lot of it could be snow. Interesting signals, perhaps, for a wintry February. If you enjoyed this Sunday Roundup, please can you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You'll be able to see future weather content if you do that. Tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. We are on the grind to 11k subscribers. And we'll see how long it takes us to get there. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Drop a comment as well. Let us know what you think about this and all of the videos. Right, that's it for this one then. We'll be back at 6 o'clock with a Sunday Roundup, so I shall see you then. No, we're back at 6 o'clock live streaming. We're going to be back at 6 live streaming for Sunday Roundup. That's all for now. I'm going to go and track down my Kado shopping, and I'll see you live at 6. Bye for now.